Welcome to Relationship Equity, a podcast that explores how successful people cultivate meaningful connections with others in their personal and professional lives. Learn from the stories, insights, and advice of leaders, innovators, and influencers who have built strong bonds with their teams, their customers, their communities, and their families. Here's Richard Walker.
I'm pleased to welcome Andrea Markstrom, Chief Information Officer at Schulte Roth Zabel. With over 30 years as a global IT leader in the legal industry, Andrea oversees all technology strategy and systems for her firm. She's also the founder and CEO of iWill, the professional network advancing women's tech careers. Andrea, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. It's great to see you.
Well, let's learn a little bit about you to start with. You tell us about where you're from. You tell us a little bit about who you are before we get into some nitty-gritty stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm from Minnesota, still live in Minnesota. However, I work in New York. So I'm one of those commuters back and forth every week. As you mentioned, 30 years leading technology organizations, and first half of my career worked for the beloved Target Corporation, which I think a number of us in Minneapolis worked for. And then the latter half of my career, the last 18 or so years, have been in legal. Outside of my career, I've got 3 wonderful children, and one is a sophomore in college here in New York. So I'm blessed every once in a while I get to see her here while I'm working in New York. And then 2 seniors in high school, so they'll be off to college next year. And then I don't know what we're going to do with ourselves with 3 kids gone.
Yeah, well, believe me, I can relate to that. And nice to you is don't plan anything, because wherever you plan won't happen anyway, Andrea. It'll just kind of materialize. You know, we now live on North Captiva Island for nearly 7 months of the year. And if somebody had told me that at your stage, I would have said, what? I think we'd probably be on Mars before that. So life happens and COVID happens and things happen and things just don't happen the way you plan them. Well, that's one of which college in New York?
She goes to Pace University.
Oh, I don't know that one.
Yeah, it's down in the financial district. And so she's been a theater kid all her life, and she's going for her BFA in acting. So she's in the right city.
She's in the right city for that. But who knows? She might end up in technology like you, because you didn't go to school for technology, did you?
No, you are so right. I know. I thought my, at that point in time, at her age, I was dancing professionally for a modern dance company.
Oh, I didn't know that.
And that's what I thought I wanted to do for the rest of my life. And life throws a curveball, and before you know it, you're like down a different path, and it's very crazy how it all works out.
Well, let's talk about that, because there are so many. I mean, let's face it, when you're that age, you don't really know what you want to do. You think you know what you want to do, and some people end up doing what they want to do, but the majority of us don't. To your point, life throws you a curveball, and sometimes you whack it, and sometimes you miss it, and then you hit another ball that comes at you. So how the hell do you end up running IT organizations when you're a dancer? And I'm sure that when things go well, you probably dance to yourself in your office, right?
No, I don't know about that anymore. That would be pretty scary, actually.
So talk us through then. So how did you first get, Target? Let's talk about Target for a second. I'm going to give them a shout out, because I know so many people that came up and grew up through Target, and they've done a wonderful job of hiring the right people, grooming them. I mean, I can just list names of people for you, of people that have done extremely well in their careers. So Target was a great place for you to learn your trade, if you will. How did it all start? How did you first get into the technology field?
Yeah, and I'll just mention too, as you mentioned, Target, great place. And I am grateful to have had, the start of my career for Target. As many of us Targeteers know, you're born and raised in process and discipline. And that truly has served me well throughout my entire career. But how I landed there, as I was in this dance company, I understood that I needed to have a backup plan just in case that career in modern dancing does not work out. At the time, there was a woman that was dancing with us in the company, and she broke her foot, and she really had nothing to turn back on. And so that was kind of a wake-up call to me to at least go get my undergraduate degree and also be prepared should something like that happen. And as I was going through my college career, I went to the University of Minnesota. They had a great program there where it was an internship program. And that's really how I started at Target as an intern. I led the United Way campaign for Target, which at that time was aligned in the communications department. What I did when I was an intern, I took on everything. And I always say what's so important to people when they ask me, what do you think it is that you succeed in your career? I say, think about a job description and it's all those other duties as assigned. Focus on those because that's what's going to, volunteer for everything and take on activities or projects that are outside of what potentially somebody thinks is just your scope of work. So that people can see that you're a multidimensional leader. You can not only take on, but you're self-driven to take on a number of different projects. And that's what I did as an intern. I just took on anything that came my way, if it was inside the United Way campaign or out. And so that landed me a permanent role within Target. Started at Target in communications. 3,000 years ago, they had a radio broadcast show within the stores environment. So I produced that. And then video conference technology came to be a thing. And initially, it was aligned under communications. The network grew to a point where it was so large that it really needed to be aligned under the technology department. And so I transitioned over to the technology area, and I was just excited because I thought, okay, this is where I'm going to land. I started taking voice and data networking courses, was a voice engineer for a while. Quickly learned that was not my forte. What I really loved was bringing people together and leading projects. So started down that management career path at Target and stayed within the technology organization ever since.
So it was kind of by default, if you will, then that you went from the communications, you got moved into technology, but it sounds like you kind of dabbled in a more technical role, but it wasn't for you. Would you say that you are? I mean, I've worked with dozens and dozens of CIOs over my 30 years in this business, and I would say they fit into two categories: highly technical or not highly technical. And it sounds like you were in the not highly technical.
I am not in the highly technical category. And I've been so grateful and honored to have amazing technical people that have surrounded me that I've been able to learn from. And, my team will be the first to say, oh, no, please, she cannot go into the data center and configure a server. But I can help pull our team together and develop strategy and get the buy-in and, really the understanding and the buy-in from the business. And I think you need both elements in a technology organization to be successful. So did not grow up being a technologist, thought I wanted to be, but, one of the learnings, and it was through an individual that I met at Target she was a VP at the time, Bridget Bonner. A number of people probably know her in our community. She's an amazing woman leader. And I took a chance and I just, as like an entry level woman in technology, took a chance and asked if she had some time to meet with her and was grateful that she did take the time and just confused about, I'm in technology, I should be technical, but not my passion. I love leading projects and people. And, the best advice I got from her was, first of all, it's okay to pivot. And I've remembered that throughout my entire career. Because if it's not something that you're passionate about, then pivot and find something that you are passionate about. And I was grateful that Target gave me that opportunity to do so. And fantastic training as a leader of people, and learning to surround yourself with the best and the brightest. And as a team, you win together as a team, you don't win alone. So we bring each other along.
I want to go back to something that you said. There's so many little things that you've said in the last 5-10 minutes that are so powerful, and you're just talking about them kind of as just your story. as an intern, you intentionally decided to do a lot more than was asked of you. Why? Who taught you how to do that? Was it just instinct? Did you just think to yourself, or was that a learned thing? Did somebody teach you always do more than is expected of you?
I will say that probably comes from my grandmother, who she's my angel. But she rooted in me from day one that hard work, that's what it takes. It's a lot of hard work and putting in the time. I mean, that's just part of who I am.
There's just no replacement for it, Andrea. There just isn't.
No, I mean, you can't take shortcuts. If you do, people know. And the saying, fake it till you make it. I mean, there's a little bit of that sometimes we need to do as we go throughout our career. But if you do that for an extenuating period of time,
you don't make it.
No, you don't. And that gets noticed. So do the hard work, put the time in. And, the other thing that I learned really at Target that stuck with me throughout my entire career is not only, take the time, ask a lot of questions, reach out to people that you don't know, but reach out and ask for meetings and learn from them. I started that early in my career at Target, and I've kept doing that throughout my entire career. And oh my gosh, I've met some amazing people, but still some of those amazing people I still talk to today, and I've learned so much from them. And the other thing I'll mention, which I'm really grateful throughout my Target career, I'll mention another name who we all also know is Nick Hernandez and Dee Thibodeau, two names that are so good at relationships. And Nick, more than anything, has taught me, it's be rich in relationships. And that is be intentional about it, be genuine, be grateful. That makes up really who I am. And because that's all we've got, are people in relationships.
I couldn't agree more. I mean, both Nick and Dee are fantastic people, and they've done a world of good in the community that we are both originally from. So I couldn't agree more with you. Well, let me ask you, especially early in your career, I wanted to focus on the word relationships. As you went out of your way to do more than that was asked of you, and I have no doubts that you formed strong relationships with people because of that. So talk to me a little bit about your relationship development, and as I call it, relationship equity, because the more you go out of your way to help somebody, the more equity that you create for yourself, because in turn, they're going to want to help you in any way that they possibly can. Can you talk to me a little bit about that, with how that materialized and what it did for you throughout, not just the early part of your career, but I'm guessing that's kind of been the foundation for who you are. Go out of your way to help others, and it just builds for you.
Yeah, I love that term, relationship equity. I love that. I'll tell you, relationships have got me through everything. We all go through challenges in our career, and I have had my share of them. And the days that, you don't think you can make it, or the days that you just don't feel confident or not your best self. That's where those relationships, and I always, your tribe, that is who you lean on to get you through those moments. I talk a lot about you're the CEO of your career, and thinking about if you're sitting at the boardroom table and around you is your personal board of advisors, or your tribe, so to speak, and you reach out to those people for various things. Those relationships have gotten me through some really dark times in my career. They've got me through some really happy times in my career, and also personal life. They are, I'll say, every role that I've gotten has always been by a relationship. We always hear the term mentor, coach, and sponsor. We as leaders, I think, we are responsible and really accountable for coaching and mentoring others and being sponsored to others. And sponsors are those who talk about you when you're not in the room, or when your name comes up, they can introduce you, and you just how they introduce you really can make a huge difference. And I have been extremely lucky and grateful that those individuals, just relationships formed throughout the early to now stages of my career, they've helped me move along in my career as they have been my sponsors. And I can't say enough. I know some people say I don't have time. Listen, there's not enough time in the day to get your job done. I understand that, especially when you're balancing life, career, family. But all it takes is baby steps, and just, give yourself a goal, 1 hour a month, reach out, or 1 hour a week, or whatever the case is, but it will serve you well throughout your entire career.
Obviously, I couldn't agree more with you. What would you say to those who say, yeah, I'm an introvert. Highly technical people, brilliant technologists. Networking does not come naturally, and arguably relationship development doesn't come naturally. What would you say to those people? How important is now? Surely it's not that important, Andrea. If you're good at what you do, networking is not that important, is it? Obviously, I'm being facetious.
Oh my God! So I'm a huge introvert. I know people don't believe that, but I'm a huge introvert. And if somebody's in that position, it is, bring them along to a networking function, so at least they know you in the room, and help them get out of their shell a little bit. That's what somebody did for me. And anytime I went to a networking event, I always was so nervous, first of all, and walking into the room. And then there's that whole imposter syndrome, which we all go through. And I had to almost formulate some questions or a script before I ran in. And even just that little preparation helped me as an introvert just feel a little bit more comfortable, knowing that, okay, I've got a few things to talk about, and it prepared a little bit. But two, having somebody that was there by my side that could introduce me, that I could go and feel comfortable standing next to, it's extremely helpful. So I think us as leaders, if we see that, from somebody from our team, invite them along. Now more than ever, whether you're technical or not, technology and the industry is changing so fast. And the only way that we are really, truly going to learn how to do things better is by talking to our peers and learning from each other. So if you are a highly technical person and love just to sit behind your workstation, you're not serving your company well, nor yourself.
Think about the title. I thought about this morning. I thought about our conversation we're going to have. I wanted to talk to you about this. Chief Information Officer. Information is everything, but it's what we do with it. And it's the human element of it, to me, that's the most powerful. It's the sharing of the right information with the right people, and having the skills and ability to do that. Can you comment on that?
Communication skills, soft skills, I think is interpersonal skills, probably some of the most important elements of any role. You can be the most highly technical person, but if you do not have the communication and soft skills, first of all, nobody's going to know what you do or the value that you bring to the organization. I'll just say, anytime I've got an open role or a hiring, you got to look for the full package. Almost more, I focus on the soft skills over the technical skills. I've always thought technical skills can be taught. Soft skills can't necessarily. I mean, it's who a person is, and it's so those are so important. To how do you address that? I think we have to create a safe space to allow people to explore and to experiment with that. If they're truly uncomfortable about communicating and getting up in front of an audience, for example, and presenting, create a safe space so that they can practice. And I was lucky enough that I had an amazing leader do that for me. I'll just share when I was at Faegre. Now it's Faegre Jenker Biddle, but first law firm that I worked at, I'll never forget this. I we were in the midst of combining with another law firm, and I had to go in front of the executive committee and talk about, the value of my organization and why Fagry IT is like a stellar organization, and we should continue to be that stellar organization in the combination. Is my first opportunity to speak at that level or for that level. And the person that I reported to at the time was Brad Fredrickson, and he's, just wonderful in terms of, okay, let's just practice. Let's go into a room. I'm the audience, and he really helped me, first of all, feel comfortable about what I was saying. Helped me tremendously in terms of how to deliver a message to a business group and, get rid of all the technical jargon. But how do you talk about the value and really sell that value? I'll never forget his help. And that's our role, is to continue to help bring people up and get them comfortable at that level. Be it if it's presenting in front of an executive committee or just speaking out in front of a room full of people, because that can be really scary for people too. So it is, I go back to creating that safe space for people so that they can do that.
So the soft skills, interpersonal skills, do you think those, to you, it comes naturally? Maybe you've obviously honed those skills and developed them over the 100 years you've been in the business world. But to people that say to you, "Oh, Andrea, I'm just not that way. I just don't have that natural skill set." Can that be learned?
I think over time it can. I think, again, it's a scary thing for people, but that's where, and I've had this example with one of my directors who reports to me now. She's like, "Oh, I'm afraid of, I am so nervous about networking." And I'm like, "Come on, let's go. Come with me. And let's, I'll give her some information about people in advance." I do think if you've got people around you that encourage you, that can give you that confidence, that can help you practice, that if you, I hate to say fail, but, if you go into a room and you just don't feel good about how you presented yourself, it's okay. You get a second chance. You get all kinds of chances. So instilling that confidence that people can speak up and people can raise their soft skills, I do think that's something that you can do. It takes practice.
Yeah, it takes practice. I want to go back and dive deeper to some of the things you said, but unfortunately, we've got to stop here. Coming next time on Relationship Equity, Andrea Markstrom, the Chief Information Officer at Schulte Roth Zabel, will talk about the inspiration and mission for the foundation she founded, iWill.
The whole purpose is all to help each other rise and succeed in not only our careers, but where we can be successful in life.
This has been Relationship Equity. If you want to take your career, your business, or your personal relationships to the next level, reach out to Richard at yorksolutions.net. You can also get Richard's book, Relationship Equity, your cornerstone investment to great gains in business and life, on Amazon now. Relationship Equity with Richard Walker is a production of Forbes Books.